Good afternoon, sports fans. I am your friendly neighborhood Paul, joined by my illustrious co-host, Probably Oliver. How you doing, my man?
All good, all good. I'm glad it's the weekend. It's Friday. It's
Oh yeah,
I like to see.
yeah. So if we are recording the first ever on YouTube episode of Nostalgia on the Rocks, where you guys can catch it live every other Friday, is what we will say for now, over on twitch.tv/FNHPaul. Otherwise, you can catch it on the YouTube, hopefully the Monday after, if my editing, if I stick to the editing goal in which I set for myself. We'll see how that goes. But Nostalgia on the Rocks, for the uninitiated or for the new people here, is where myself, probably Oliver, and even sometimes a guest will talk about the new games of old and have ourselves a lovely drink while doing it. Probably Oliver, what do you have in your glass this evening?
I'm sticking to the beer. I'm primarily a beer drinker. Spirits are a holiday drink for me. Spirits are like a whiskey or a brandy. That's a Christmas time sort of thing. So, um, for anyone who's aware of me on my channel, this will come as no surprise. We've got the Camden Hells. We've got the Camden Hells this evening. Much smaller cans than we're used to. We normally have like the big 660 milliliter bottles.
Mm-hmm.
This time we got a few 330 milliliter cans, but this is a good beer. It is a very good beer. Independent brewery from Camden in London.
Mm-hmm.
Well worth looking at. Well worth looking for. Good stuff. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
I was gonna say that is typically so. We have a couple because even though I'm an American, I live in the UK. So there's a couple burger joints that are like, I think they're called like Honest Burger or Simple Burgers or something like that, and then they all kind of look the same, even though they all have slightly different names. But I always like it when they do have the smaller beers there because they'll always have Budweiser, Carlsberg, and like all your standard run of the mill beers, and every now and again I'll be like, ooh, that one. Let's go for that guy.
Mhm.
Most of the time, pleasantly surprised. And myself today, I have the Macallan 12 double cask Highland single malt Scotch. Now, I will say I typically steer away from the Macallan just for how unbelievably expensive the bottles are. This one was a bit cheaper, and even it being cheaper is still fairly pricey, especially for a 12-year. But I figured why not? This will be the first one we throw up on YouTube. So why not try and go a little fancy with it? If I
Oh,
can actually open the bottle.
now I feel a little underdressed with the
With the
little tinny of beer. Like I should have brought out the big guns.
should have brought out the big gun. We talking the Remy? We talking the Remy right now?
I could have done. I could have done.
I
Like
think I still
although
have. I think I still have a little Remy sitting around here somewhere.
I think the first time we ever did like one of these, which was like a few months back, like exclusive to Twitch, like it was just before Christmas, and I thought, yeah, Paul likes a drink. I like a drink. I'm sure I can keep up with him. I drank half a bottle of brandy and then went to stream myself afterwards, and
Yep.
that was a bad stream. That was a bad stream. That was. I am not ready to keep up with you,
we
Paul. But
Here's the thing,
we'll
right?
get.
Here's the thing. You have to. I didn't do the nose yet on the Scotch, so we're gonna do that here in a sec. But yeah, especially with me, I have what's classified as problem with alcohol. And it's simply that I enjoy it a lot, and it enjoys me for some reason. I will say this lid was weird because it was like a twist, but then it turns into a cork. It threw me off real hard, but
That
it's not
pop though.
good.
That
Good
little
news.
pop
Oh,
sound. Ooh.
that little pop is something good. Hang on, let me grab the box. I promise we will get to video game sports fans. Honey, citrus, and ginger is what it has here on the box. So we'll see. We'll see what we got here. The high quality pop. Yeah, that's what you come for here on twitch.tv/FNHPaul and also on youtube.com/FNHPaul. If you're not already subscribed, think about it. Oh, yeah, that's a good squeak too going back in. All right, well, here's you, probably Oliver. Another week down. Some nostalgia on the rocks. Let's talk about some games, shall we? Cheers.
Yeah. Yes. I tell you, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to clink at last with you properly. Like,
Oh, dude,
cannot wait.
COVID shot round 2 today. just knocked that out. So we're getting
Oh,
slowly but
nice.
surely, slowly but surely. I'm waiting for it to start kicking my ass. I am waiting for it. It's like I know it will because I know it will. It's like I'm gonna be sitting there and be like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And next thing I know, I'm just gonna be like, "Ugh." Especially because I got like a full day of shenanigans tomorrow. So of course that's when it's gonna hit. Okay, so probably
That's cool.
Oliver. What we're gonna be talking about here is honestly just the games of 2021. So what we're looking forward to, some of the things that you might have played this year, the newer games, if you have played any of the newer games this year, and then we're just gonna run with it from there. So probably Albert, would you like to start, or would you like me to?
I'll go. I'll go for one that I know both of us are very excited for very very different reasons. It is a game I've never played before. A
Hmm.
game that I think you might have played.
If it's the game I'm thinking of, I might have played it once or twice.
I think you might have touched it. Mass Effect, the legendary collection, the trilogy finally getting a proper re-release on like modern consoles. Which I think, as far as I'm aware, like all these games were Xbox 360 PS3 generation. So we've got an entire generation without seeing this trilogy again. I know we
Yes.
got Andromeda.
Yeah.
I apparently you don't talk about Andromeda. Apparently that's one
It's
that people, the Mass Effect fans, try and forget.
it's kind of like how do I put this? How do I put this? It's kind of like how like when a games it's like when games normally have like numbers in them and then they
Mhm,
swap away from the numbers. That's kind of what it is. It's like an
mhm,
offshoot, it's a side story.
mhm.
It was like a what if book, if you will. Like if you to
Right.
put it into comic books reference. Like what if we just sent a bunch of people out to a completely different place before the Reapers hit, huh? What would happen over there? It's like, well, you see, what happened was, um, that thing just, oh, good lord. But yeah, Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition, May 14th. I am beyond excited for that game. Just, I'm over the moon, some would say. Because Mass Effect 1, here's the weird thing about that game, right? They have said that it is not, they didn't do like a whole brand new remaster. They didn't try to make it run on like the PS5 and the Series X and S. Like they didn't like pull it all the way up there so that way it's like, look at it and all of its they didn't Final Fantasy it, if you will. Final Fantasy 7 it. So they weren't trying to like, make everything as beautiful as possible. They wanted it to look better and they wanted it to run properly. That's how I kind of got it from all their press releases and everything that I've read about it, where they say they modernized it. They made it look better. They've thrown up some new stuff, but it's not gonna look, it's not gonna look like brand spanking new. It's going to look like a redone game, but it's not going to be, this. It's not gonna look like Final Fantasy VII remake. Is essentially
No,
what I'm beating
no.
around the bush here for. But I am still super excited for that because Mass Effect 1 came out on Xbox, where it was like a launch 360 title.
Oh wow,
Like that thing is old as hell.
that's
And
old. Yeah.
and so like that thing, yeah, because I'm fairly certain that was either I want to say it might have been a 360 title. It might have been 360 title, but it was like a launch 360 title. And that one was an Xbox
Mhm,
exclusive. And
mhm,
then they had and then 2 and 3 came out and that was all consoles. Or that was for every console. But it was like the jump from 1 to 2 was astronomical. As far as like what they did with
mhm,
the gameplay, what they did with the story, what they were able to just do with the environments. It was like some people didn't like it because it kind of stripped it down, but a lot of people enjoyed it because it tightened up a lot of things. Then it gave you a story you actually gave a shit about, and it gave you a colorful cast that you could actually interact with more than just, all right, let me go down to this one area where everybody is standing around and I can just go talk to each one of them and leave. Like they all had their own room,
mhm.
they all had their own space, so you would go into their room and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then be able to have these little conversations and it'd be more organic than just, "All right." And so that they're not watching you talk to literally everybody else in the room as you work your way around. So,
See, that's I mean, because yeah, so these games totally passed me by. Like,
mhm.
I think think I owned first Mass Effect when I came into the 360 generation a few years late. I didn't pick one up until around about um 2010, 2011 or so, when there was
Okay.
already like, hundreds and hundreds of games on
Mhm.
there. And I think I remember picking up Mass Effect like on the cheap at like a trade-in like game store. Like, and I think I remember playing about an hour of it, or not even that, maybe about half hour of it. Just for some reason went, no, okay, I'm going to move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Then two came out, and I remember the kind of it was before I was really following games as like a media sort of sense. So
Mhm.
I'd sort of heard people talking about Mass Effect like 2 and 3, but I didn't really know what they were. And because they were 2 and 3, I had no interest in them, because I was like, I don't know what Mass Effect 1.
Yep. Yep.
And then it was sort of when I really, really got into video games quite heavily, like around about like 6, 7 years ago with the PS4. Like, people talked about Mass Effect as like this insane, crazy, amazing, brilliant thing, and I was like, I think I remember what the box art looks like, but I have no idea about
Yep.
it. And then it was through watching like some of like when you were streaming Mass Effect 3,
Oh
like
yeah.
towards the
Mhm.
tail end of last year, um and like, I watched like a few of those streams, and I was like, this game looks excellent. This game looks so much fun. And like, don't get me wrong, it looks a little dated at this point. Like, it looks a
Yeah.
little
Now,
janky around the edges, but
I was playing it with like, the Xbox backwards compatibility, so there was,
mhm,
a level of like to it. But yeah, I get what you're
mhm,
saying. I get what you're saying.
yeah. And so now I'm like, I don't know any of the I don't know who's in this game. I don't know any of the like, I don't know anything that happens in the story. I know the main guy's name is Shepard, and that's
Or girl.
pretty much it.
Or girl.
Or girl, Captain Shepard, or it's is it Fem Shep they
Yeah, so
lovingly
so
call,
you have male shep and fem shep.
Mhm. But that's literally the only thing I know about these games. I just know that they are this sprawling epic, like set across 3 games, and that sort of. Am I right in saying like your save kind of carries over from 1 to 2 and two
Yep.
to three, and like
It's
decisions you've
your
made
all
have
the
effect? Like,
decisions you yeah, all so if you just to give you an example, there's a it's not a super big plot one, it's just kind of one of those little side things that they pay off into. So in the first game, you go to like this ice planet with a corporation that does like a bunch of blase blase blase. So
Mhm,
when you're there, there's like this lady that you can help, and if you help her get rid of her boss that's been like scamming money or doing some illegal nonsense or whatever, because she's you can help her out, and it's like, oh, that's cool, and you get a little XP. It gives you some Paragon points because you help the good guys, which is another thing in that game. You get the Paragon or the Renegade. You get the blue or the red, and then depending on what happens there, it opens up different dialogue options for you. But
mhm,
if you help her, then she shows up in the second game when you go to the Asari planet, which is the blue ladies that with the yeah. You trust me, you'll see them. Trust me, you're gonna know who they are. And so
mhm,
you see her on that planet, and she's kind of doing more of the same stuff. Like she's continuing her internal affairs business, and you can help her out again. And then she's like, yeah, that's 2 drinks I owe you now, Shepard. It's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. So it is
That's
little
that's
things like that. If you skip Mass Effect 1, then she's just not there. Like you just don't see her. Because I've done
that's
that where
so
I've just
cool.
done a comic book thing. Because that was how they got around having Mass Effect 1 A be a pain in the ass going back and playing, and B only being on
Mhm,
the Xbox, was they did a Dark Horse interactive comic at the beginning of 2 that you could get for a DLC thing that I think was like an extra $5, and you got to make all the big decisions. So like who lives and dies here, what do you want to do here, this, that, and the other. And then you got to make all those big ticket decisions, and then they got to carry it over into 2.
mhm. That's so cool. Like, because yeah, like I don't know any other games who have done stuff like that. Like, especially to that degree, that like these games were very clearly set out to be a trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
and like you like jumping into, if you jumped into say free for the first time and never touched one or two, and you just got carried along with like the hype for free, you would be missing out on stuff. Like I love that. I love the fact that this seems like it's going to be a game that's going to, you know, like I'm going to live in this world for, you know, what, how long are these games? What, like, they're like 50-hour games each, sort of thing, aren't they?
Um,
They're RPGs in their own right. Like,
yeah, it depends on how much of the side stuff you do. I know in the first game, like it depends on how much they're going to keep in that first game because that first game you
mhm,
can a lot of the stuff you can mainline, and they even make a big point of it in like the second game. You can either mainline that thing and just hit the big ticket items and go, or the more you explore and like do little side quests, you get more like money, resources, and then you can upgrade your gear, upgrade your people, get like a little bit more loyalty and stuff like that. So in the second game, if you just mainline it, your crew might die because that's the thing in the second game. In the second game, it's a suicide mission, so it's like
right,
you
okay,
may not make it back. So your whole objective is to find out where the bad guys are, like because you can't find them or nobody's really sure where they are. So the main objective is
mhm,
find who the bad guys are, find out where they are, and then like get your crew and ship ready to rock as best you can. But you can just say fuck
mhm.
that and streamline it, but then it gets a little dicey when you get to that last fight because you're underleveled, undergeared, and some of your people won't survive cutscenes. Like there's just straight up cutscenes where
Right.
people die. Like if you didn't do this, this, or this, these two people die, and like before you even land at the bad guy's base, there's already crew members who are dead. It's like, well, shit. All right, well, not using those guys, and then you get through another part, and it's like, well, you didn't do A, B, or C as well, so now these people didn't make it, and you're like, fuck. And even in your last mission, if you, because you can like you choose people who to go do things, so it's like one person is gonna do like a hack thing, the other person's gonna lead like a distraction crew as you're gonna like slip in and do some other shit. And so it's like if you pick a bad hacker, they can die in like going to do the hack. Like they'll get the hack done, but then they'll die. And then like if you pick a bad leader for the other team, they can die. And it's just like, oh, Jesus. Which makes the achievement at the end of that where you do it where everybody survives such a pain in the ass. But then I've also ran it
No, I
where
can't wait. I can't like.
everybody dies. I did a death run where I was like nobody lives. And that was actually harder than I thought it was going to be. Because I had to run it with because I had to because the way you have to do it is you have to do it you actually technically have to have at least one person survive because otherwise if your entire crew dies you won't survive at the very end. Like it'll literally be a cutscene where Shepard is running and he jumps or he like they jump for the ship and they reach, and if nobody's there you fall to your death. But if
And is
somebody's
that's game over? Like,
that's game
that's
over. You fucking lost. That's
ah,
a suicide mission. Shepard doesn't make it out. But if you
I love
do
that stuff.
make it, but if somebody makes it, then they'll catch you and then they pull you onto the ship. So like
Yeah,
you had
I
to,
can't wait.
so I had to do it with the DLC characters because the DLC characters aren't really in 3. They have like a little cameo thing, but that's it. It's not like
Mhm,
they're not playable characters in the third game because there are some characters that you
mhm.
can actually be that will be in your squad from 1, 2, and 3. Like you have a handful of ride or die SOBs with you. And God damn it, are they amazing! But I could sit here and talk for another 2 days about Mass Effect. So
Yeah,
let me
no,
move on.
I'm so pumped. I'm like my like it's the kind of thing I feel like I've got my expectations perfectly in check for this game because
Mhm.
like I am so excited for them and so hyped to finally experience like this game that I know, like the amount of people who say like, oh yeah, Mass Effect 2 is my favorite game of all time. Like
Mhm.
I cannot wait to find out why. But also like because of the whole like old game is old thing, I've also got like this like thing in my head that's like just enjoy them for what they are.
Mhm.
Enjoy them for what they are. It's, you're here for the story. You're here for the story. Like if there's jankiness to it, it's fine. These games came out what 10, 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
they're a
and I
while.
can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And
Can't
so,
wait.
yeah, I'm like I said, I told a lot of people that were like, "Oh, I've never played this game before. You like should I get it?" And because of a game that came out late last year that was very very hyped up, I tell people give it a week.
Hmm, hmm.
We are past the time where you have to worry about like, oh, what happens if the store doesn't have it anymore? Because I know me personally, I don't buy physical games anymore. Period. Dot. I don't fuck with it. All my shit's digital.
I'm saying.
So like, there is no more running out of the game. There is no, oh, I didn't get it at launch or I didn't pre-order it, so now I can't find anywhere, or I have to drive 3 hours to a store that I hope they don't sell it out from under me when I called the guy. Like, no, we ain't gotta do that. I can literally just go on my Xbox, boom, and it's there. So if anybody is hesitant and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna like it, give it a week. You can watch my Twitch channel. There's going to be about 1,000 other Twitch channels. I can almost guarantee you that are going to be streaming this game. Anybody who has ever played a Mass Effect game, like, or even is tempted by it, is going to be either title is going to be, Mass Effect Legendary Edition or My First Mass Effect or like Blind Mass Effect Run or blah 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 blah. All that stuff is going to be in there, and it's like like I said, give it a week, and if after that week it looks like something you're into, run it. If not, congratulations, you saved yourself $60 or however much games are where you are. All right, now I
like,
want to talk about another game. Actually, no, I want you to convince me on a game. That game is Deathloop.
Okay.
Why should I give it? Now, I saw the previews for the PS5 and all that stuff, but like, it's come out. Okay, according to I'm looking at Game Informer, by the way, everybody watching this at home. I'm looking at GameInformer.com right now, and that's where we're getting this list. So according to Game Informer, that game is supposed to be due out May 21st for PlayStation 5 and PC. Why do I care about Deathloop?
Now I cannot wait for this game. This is my I think this is probably my most anticipated game of the year. Like so far from what we've seen and what we know of, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably the wrong person to convince you because I either haven't played or haven't got along with arcane games previously. Um Dishonored, I tried Dishonored 1, it wasn't for me. Like Prey, I never got a chance to play. Like I never got round to them, sort of thing. But those games all have such a incredible sort of mechanic to them. Like that is different from other games. Like it's those games feel different to everything else that's out there. And even though Dishonored wasn't for me, and I do want to go, I do want to try again. I do want to try and get back to it because those games are loved. Like those games
Mm-hmm.
are adored. And Prey, I think Prey came out to a kind of lukewarm response, but the people who like that game absolutely adore it. But with Deathloop, just everything we've seen from Deathloop is just dripping in cool. It's just it's it's unlike anything I've ever seen before in like the gaming sphere. That sort of like 70s sort of very trippy, very like acid infused vibe. Um the graphics are this weird sort of like not quite realistic, not quite cartoony, this kind of like mix of the two. The mechanic of it, like running through like a level and having like an assassination target in mind, but if you get caught or you get killed, you are straight back at the start and it rewinds and it starts again. That kind of like roguelite mentality just looks so awesome. And it's one of the few games that seems to be like taking advantage of the whole next gen SSD, like super fast loading times, like super seamless gameplay sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it just looks so cool. And from last week, like the state of play we got last week, this game now has a Bond theme as well. It has got a James Bond song attached to it, and it just looks so cool. Just I cannot wait to like get in and just find out exactly how everything works in it and plan meticulously. It sort of to me it sort of looks like a mix between James Bond meets meets Hitman meets like BioShock, like that kind of like first person take on a stealthy sort of like action game, and I can't wait. Like I just we've seen at this point we've seen about what 4 trailers for it. Like
Give or
I know it was
take. I feel
supposed
like
to
that's the
be.
thing. I feel like I've seen it a bunch, and honestly, like
Mm.
I see it, I'm like, that's cool, and then I completely forget about it until I see it again. I'm like, oh, that one, yeah, that's dope. What was that one about again? And then
I know because I know it was supposed to become. I think it was supposed to be a launch game. Like I think it was supposed to come out in November, but then they
Mhm.
pushed it back to May, which I think is why we've kind of had this sort of really long like marketing campaign for it.
Yep.
But just
Which if
everything every time like I.
no, go for it.
I was just gonna say, it's even though we've seen like multiple trailers for this game, and I'm not normally a fan of like games getting multiple trailers. I like to see one, maybe two, and then I wanna play it. But
Mhm.
I don't mind with this. I don't like every time we've seen a trailer for it. It has still kind of captured that like really just incredible aesthetic they've got going on for it, and I can't wait. I can't wait for this game.
All right.
I I'm super hyped for it.
And I will be watching you play it because I do not have a PS5, and I don't know if I really want to try to run this on the PC because it looks real graphic intense, and I'm like, mm-mm. That is gonna one of two things: either the game is gonna chug or the stream's gonna break. Those are the only two options I see happening here.
Is it
Okay.
coming out PC as well? Like
Yeah,
day
it
and date
says
with PS5?
it's
Like a
according to Game
nice.
Informer. According to Game Informer. Now
Oh,
I'm
nice.
gonna wind it back to a game that's coming out. That's according to this is coming out April 1st, but I could have swore it got pushed, but it might have. Outriders. Did you get a chance to play the demo?
No, I haven't seen a single second of this game yet. I've missed every trailer for it. Like I only found out there was like a demo for it, and everyone was like, literally, it was. I think it was the demo was last weekend. I think.
I think it's still going. Like you can still hop into it and play it, but it just dropped
Okay.
last weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Like because I think it was one day last weekend, Saturday or Sunday. I sort of logged into Twitch and was just like, oh, I wonder who's streaming at the moment, and like every single person I was following was playing this game, and I was like,
Yep.
I don't know who to click on, so I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna I just I don't know what this game is.
Frozen by
I don't
decision.
know what I'm getting
Bounce.
into. But yeah, so
So
like the
this.
things I've heard about it,
Mhm.
apparently it's like I because from the name and from like trying to think what I've seen of it, I thought it was like some futuristic shooter. I've heard people compare it to like Destiny. Like it's what is this
Destiny's
game?
Destiny's not a bad comparison. So the long and short of it, kind of. All right. So you remember how we didn't talk about Andromeda? Well, guess what?
Mhm.
Outriders is Andromeda again, where it is Earth.
Right.
Earth got jacked up real bad. So they sent some people out to go find a like new world. They had this world
Mhm.
charted, all this kind of yada yada yada. You land there as an outrider. An outrider, and your job is you're essentially like the Navy SEALs of the new area. Like you drop first, you're supposed to secure a landing site, all this stuff. All this stuff is in the demo, by the way. Like the demo gives you like the
Mhm.
first chapter and then it like cuts it. So you land there and you weren't originally supposed and like they just try to drive so much story that they can into like such a short amount of time. And they try to make you care about a handful of characters that I personally I just could not give a rat's ass about. Just because of like how it is. I'm just like, all right, cool. You're trying to make this dude appear to be a father figure. You're trying to make this person seem like a big deal. You're trying to make the like oh, I was just a street kid and all this stuff. Like, all right, cool, man. I get it. Like, all right, you're supposed to be my best friend. You're supposed to be the father figure slash like role model. Got it. Cool. Moving on. I don't get so much Destiny vibes as I get Anthem vibes, which is a very
Ooh.
double-edged sword. It is a very big double-edged sword. And now let me explain. Anthem was fun. Anthem was a good game. It had a piece of shit story. It was buggy as fuck. Especially for me, like I was playing it on like an Xbox One, like a launch Xbox One. And damn near every time I walked into a room, and I say damn near, I mean I wish I could go back and see my old streams on this. I'd walk into a room, everyone's standing, and then they're sitting down again. It's like every time I'd open up a door, it'd be like push open door, everyone's standing and then sitting. And it's like, all right. But it was just like there was so much of that game that just got so repetitive once you got through the main story. Like when you run out of shit to do in that game, it was just boring. Like it felt good. Like running around, and it was made by BioWare. And so it was like, and that was another thing, is like what could have killed Andromeda was that everybody moved over to Anthem because EA wanted a game that could compete with Destiny in this, I forget what the hell they're what those types of games are called, the games as a service. Um Games as a service game where they could just keep charging people fucking out the wazoo. Um and Anthem just fell flat because of that. Like it looked great when it looked great. It played phenomenally, but you just end up hitting a bad loop where it was just like, all right, cool. This is the same gun except this number's now bigger. Okay, I guess I'll take this one. Or like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go and fight these guys for the 10th time. All right. Which I get is that kind of looter shooter, like running the same raid or encounters over and over trying to get like the super gun. But even the super gun is just the same gun, but like with another attachment or like with another perk on top of it. It's still the same. It's not like whenever you're in Destiny and you're like, oh, well, I got the legendary gun that looks crazy as shit, but it also like does boomerang bullets or some crazy shit. Or I don't know. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but honestly, with the way Destiny is, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if you miss a shot, it actually goes back into the magazine. Like, all right, fucking send that. Let's go. Snipe away. And so that's what Outriders felt like. The story, meh. The voice acting, especially the male character, because you can do as a male or female character. The male character. Oh god.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say the voice acting in this game was
there's
hot garbage.
There's a scene. I need some. I'm just gonna use the bottle of Macallan. There's a scene where like you walk into a room. There's a guy who you're trying to rescue, two guys next to him, and then a guy behind you. Guy behind you has the gun pointed to your head. You're like, oh, whoa, guys! I thought this was the bathroom. Huh, 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 da 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 da, huh. Hey, old friend, like get the grunting noises were so bad. It was just huh, huh, huh. I'm like, bro, because it literally sounded like I recorded it in this office and they just threw it in the game. Like they didn't fuck with it at all. They didn't like, okay, well, you want to like the room you're in, so the sound's gonna play a little differently, especially compared to like normal stuff. You would be going, ha! You would be like, like you'd be a little bit more subtlety with the noises. Like, nah, man, we going full anime with that shit, just over the top, like noises. Like, what the fuck? And so, like, it was just like shit like that. That was just it would pull me out of it. But what the game does right, you have 4 classes, just like you had 4 robots in Anthem, or like suits. They feel fun to play. I played as the Devastator, which, as I would lovingly refer to them as an Earthbender, because that's what you do. You like put a little shockwave thing out in front of you. You can like fucking golem up to where you just like put on fucking rock armor and it like just that kind of shit. And then you have essentially like a jump that will like springboard you in the air, and then you lunge forwards at them, and then you do like a little rock attack. And then you have like the Pyromancer, which is obviously fire guy. You have a Trickster, which is like a teleportation assassination person, and then a Technomancer, which is like a sniper person. That's kind of the way they put it, long range type. And they change up how you get health. Like the health mechanic in it's kind of cool because it incentivizes you to be aggressive versus like sitting back and like taking pot shots. Because like with the Earthbender, if you need to be within a certain range in order to get health. So if you kill a guy that's up close, you're gonna get health back. So it's like, all right, cool. Shotgun, golem, let's go. Just in rocket. And so it seems fun, and it looks like it has everything it needs. However, I'm giving it a week. I'm gonna give it a week.
Wow.
That's me, and I do like I enjoy the gameplay loop of the demo, but I
Oh,
do
sorry, a
not.
week until you buy it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I
No. Sorry, I'm not. Let me rephrase
I
this.
I thought you meant it's gonna go live on 1st of April, and by the 8th of April, it's a dead game.
No,
Like,
dead game.
I was like, "Wow, okay,
No.
that's heavy, that's"
Sorry. Let me rephrase this because, like I said, like like if you're not sure about a game, give it a week. That's what I'm talking
Mhm,
about.
mhm.
I'm giving it the week. I'm giving it a week standby before I decide to pull the trigger and jump into it. Because if I have enough people, because I know like I'm So Brown, right? Another streamer on Twitch. He's big into looter shooters like that. He love like I see him in Destiny all the time still and all that kind of stuff. If he's playing it, if one of the buddies who I work with is still playing it and they are legitimately enjoying it, not just like, oh yeah, man, it's so good. How much time do you put into the game? Like 100 hours. Is this Stockholm Syndrome talking, or are you actually enjoying the game? Then I will go from there with it. But I'm definitely gonna give this game a week. And I do, but like I said, if you haven't played the demo, I'd give the demo a shot. Like it's free. Why the fuck not?
Yeah, I think for me, like, it's I quite like the idea of, like, games as a service, but I've never like, I wasn't really like, I never got into, like, multiplayer gaming, like, when I was younger. Like,
Mm,
I was always sort of a generation behind. I didn't really care about video games that much until kind of I was already in sort of, like, my mid-20s. Like, they sort of passed me by for the most part. And so, like, I never played Halo, like, when I was younger, like, never got into that sort of game, like, never did, like, the sort of, like, multiplayer, like, I never did, like, a Call of Duty or anything like that, just because I wasn't particularly interested at the time, and I think because of that, like, I've never really managed to get into the whole games as a service thing. I like the idea of them, and, like, the only 2 I ever played were, the first Destiny, and I only played that because it was the game that came with my PS4.
yep,
And I
yep.
enjoyed playing it. Like, I played with, like, a friend of mine, like a guy I used to work with. We used to jump on, like, Destiny a couple of times a week, and play, like, a few missions. But I don't think I even completed the story on it because I went like, "Oh, this is cool. I get it. I'm gonna go and play something else now." And then
Yeah.
the only other game that like the only other like games as a service that I've got into was Division 2. And
Mm,
that was only because, like, I kind of got caught up in the hype train of it, and, like, I then found, like, a group of people through the kind of funny Facebook group that, like, were
mm,
playing Division 2, and I was like, "Oh, I'll jump on with you guys." Like, and, like, I played with them for, like, a solid 2 to 3 months, and I loved playing with them every night, and it very quickly became, I'm not enjoying playing the game, I'm enjoying hanging out with these people. Like, these people are cool. Like,
mm,
I'm having a good chat with them. They've quickly became my friends, sort of thing. Like,
mm,
other than that, like, I just games as a service were just never for me. And as cool as some of them that I've like, I loved the look of Destiny 2, but I never even bothered picking it up because I was like, I ain't gonna play this with people. Like, I
yeah.
want to play other stuff. Like, for me, games as a service, you really need to commit to that game, and I've never been that kind of gamer. I like to play something, bounce, and play something else. Like,
Hmm.
and I think that's one of the reasons why probably I've probably seen this game, but it instantly left my mind as soon as I realized it was one of those games, sort of thing. Like, I mean, more power to anyone who, like, can, like, people who've put in, like, 2,000 hours into, like, things like Destiny 2 and stuff like that. More power to them, and I
Yep.
hope this hits. I hope this is another Destiny or Division 2. I hope it's not another them, or oh man, there's tons of them that have just died as soon, or Avengers or something like that.
Oh
Like,
God. Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
this is a good one. I hope it's good.
Yep. That's all we can really hope for. Okay, so we had that one, and then just scrolling through just to see. Some of these we're just gonna be
I
doing a gloss over just because I don't like. I'm not. Their games coming out. I'm excited to see them. Not necessarily. I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna pick them up. But what game do you got in
One
mind?
I wanted to bring up. Yeah, one I wanted to bring up, and I know you're excited for it too. And this kind of does go against what I just said about games as a service. Is it wasn't a game as a service. It was a game that I fell in love with, and I played probably hundreds of hours on Xbox 364, and I cannot wait for this, the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead 2, Back for Blood.
Oh man. Oh man.
Oh, I'm gonna die in this game. I cannot wait. Like,
See,
it,
I I'm okay. So Back for Blood, for anybody who doesn't know, Back for Blood is I mean, just like Ali just said, it is a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead franchise. It is a four-person PVE game where you start off in a room and you are trying to get to the end of the level without getting brutally murdered. And that is the game. Like full stop, that's the game. They do a lot of things in between the games, so you get, or at least in the alpha, because I was fortunate enough to get a copy of the, or get a code for the closed alpha. So that was super cool. I really enjoyed it. And for an alpha, that was amazing. Like the lack of bugginess in that game was astounding to me. Because I was full on expecting that game to, like, for people to start floating, or like me to pick up a gun and then like just not have a gun in my hand but like still see the muzzle flash and all that. Because that's what I'm used to, like even with a beta, like with a, like just something like that where it's like, yeah, this game is gonna be a little broken, it's gonna be a little janky, but it's an alpha, it's a beta, like there, some things might get a little wonky. But that game actually ran pretty smooth. There were a few instances where like some shenaniganry would happen, but for the most part, it was solid. And as a guy who never played Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2 and just never got into it, just wasn't my jam. It was something I saw. It was something that I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Didn't have a PC, didn't really play on Steam, and then when it came to console, that was one of those games that I'd go into GameStop and it was always $45, and I'm like, that game is 8 years old. Go fuck yourself. I am not paying. Why am I going to pay $45 for that when I can pay $60 for a brand new game? Fuck you. Like, and it was used,
I
and
would
that's what.
pay. I would pay 45 pounds. Oh, pounds. We're in the Queen's England right now. I would pay 45 pounds for Left 4 Dead 2. Like that game, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the greatest games ever made. The gameplay loop to it is so satisfying. Like, it's just everything in that game just feels so good. And like, it's one of those games that, like, when you die, it's your fault, and you know it's your fault. It's not on the game. The game isn't being unfair. You are sucking. Like, that is what that game teaches you very,
But
very
there was a
quickly.
rock. I got stuck. My foot was on a rock. Damn
And
it.
but like, for me, like, it's a case of, so I didn't play any of the alpha. Like, I on purpose, I was like, look, if I play this game for a weekend, I'm gonna spend the next 5 months before it comes out bummed out that I'm not playing it. I'm just gonna wait for it to come out. That weekend where they did the free alpha for it, I spent all of that weekend on Twitch watching people play it, and right, it looked so good and it played so well, and everything about it was hitting. And I think it's one of those things that, like, because Left 4 Dead 2 is still being updated. Like, Valve added a level to that game just last year. It was fan created level, but they loved it so much that they were like, yeah, this is canon now. You can have it in the main game. Like, the fact they are still updating that game, like, Back for Blood devs, which I think is it Turtle Rock?
Something like that.
Think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
Turtle Rock.
We'll say
But
that, and then
it's one of
someone will
those.
correct us later.
It's one of those that it's like, if you come at the king, you best not miss. And like, Turtle Rock, they're a bunch of guys who work on Left 4 Dead 2. They know what it is to make one of those games, and so they're coming out swinging.
Mm-hmm.
And I maybe buying into the hype, and like the sort of, like, it's been such a long time since Left 4 Dead 2. I need something new in that sort of like genre. but like they know that this game needs to be brilliant. This game needs to hit on all cylinders. And I think we're getting it. I think we're getting something real good.
So,
Aren't
okay,
we?
just to, because obviously this game, I'm going to talk about another game that came out. Well, it came out last year, if I'm not mistaken. World War Z.
Mhm.
Did that scratch that itch? Because, like, for me, once again, never played Left 4 Dead, never played Left 4 Dead 2. I picked up World War Z, and I'm like, oh, it's Left 4 Dead in, like, it's a third-person Left 4 Dead, which, by the way, Back 4 Blood is first person. Yeah, first person unless you pick up a melee weapon, then it pop. Does it?
I think it's
No,
all
no,
first
it's all
person.
first person. It's all first person. It was a third person Left 4 Dead, is how World War Z was pitched to me. And I was like, oh, cool. Did that scratch that itch, or was it missing that secret sauce for you?
I never touched it. I never touched it because it was one of those that like I'd heard that it was like people who were saying like, oh, World War Z. It's like Left 4 Dead, but and I was like, I'm not interested then. I'm not interested. Like I would rather just go back and play Left 4 Dead 2. Like and I do. I still from like time to time, like at least at least a handful of times a year, I will jump back into Left 4 Dead 2 and I will play through every single level in that campaign. Like at this point now, Left 4 Dead 2 on Steam at least has got all of the Left 4 Dead 2 levels, all of the Left 4 Dead 1 levels, plus a couple of more that were DLC. So overall, like 10 or 11 campaigns that you can run through on Left 4 Dead 2. And it's like, why would I don't want to play It's like Left 4 Dead, but I want to play Left 4 Dead. But this looks like something that could be better than Left 4 Dead 2.
Okay,
And
hang on.
if it does hit, like I this will be a game that I spend days of my life in. Like I will learn those maps like the back of my hand, like I did with Left 4 Dead 2 when I was younger. Because so as I said, like I never really got massively into video games until this, well, now last generation. But I had a 360 for a couple of years. I didn't have many games on it, but I had Left 4 Dead 2, and I got it because a couple of my a couple of my IRL friends had also got Left 4 Dead 2, and they were like, "Oh, you'll like this game. It's fun. We'll play together. Like, we'll get on mic and
Mm.
we'll chat and we'll play this game." And I got hooked. And that was the only game I played for a good like 6 to 8 months on Xbox 360. And like now it is a game that I go back to on Steam all the time. But Back for Blood looks like it's the game that could stop me from playing Left 4 Dead 2. Like
Now,
it's
now
great. It looks so much fun.
my only thing with that is because it's coming out for literally everything minus Switch, so everything. Um,
Mhm.
my only thing is it is gonna be if it has crossplay. Because if it
Mhm.
doesn't have crossplay, that's gonna fucking suck. Because it's PvE anyway, so there shouldn't really be any like issues in that regard other than trolls being trolls. But as far as like
It
I understand why sometimes like first person shooters will kind of do that, like with your standard multiplayer stuff, because it's like, oh well, PC versus console, like blah blah blah, whatever. We're moving on. But if that game has crossplay, that's gonna be amazing because I have the alpha on
Mhm.
the PC, but I don't know if I'm gonna want the game on the PC
Mhm.
because I might rock a
Yeah,
PC.
I'm with you.
I might try to just for whatever reason. Now, probably Oliver. Correct me if I'm wrong. You just said that you like to go back to Left 4 Dead a few times a year.
Mhm.
I kind of want to do a nostalgia on the rocks gameplay where you,
Oh,
me,
join us.
and two other jabronis from the chat or from anybody.
I can
Probably
there I can reel off a bunch of people who are in chat right now. Like I know Avenged is down. I know Trix is down. I know Reaper's down. There are a bunch of people who will join us for Left 4 Dead 2. Like, and we will have the best time doing it.
we could
And
how
especially if you've never played that game, you will love that game. You will love it. It's so good.
so I need to get on Steam, correct?
Hmm.
So pick it up on Steam. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Because we could do that because Back for Blood comes out June 22nd, according to Game Informer.
Hmm.
So we could do like a few episodes of this, of like me of we're just playing this. I don't know whether I feel like that would take. I feel like we could run that for like 8 to 12 hours, depending on how crazy this is. Obviously, with people's schedules permitting, but based on just how you are chomping at the bit, and you saying there's like a bunch of campaigns to this. I don't know how long these. Like, I understand you said like 11 or 12. How long is a campaign or a level?
Um, each it'll, like for the first time you play it, like each level will take you an hour and 20 maybe. Like they're not like super long, but they're meaty enough that you can
Meaty.
get through them. Like I had the same like so a few months ago, like I decided like, oh, I want to stream some Left 4 Dead. I'm gonna play some Left 4 Dead 2. Who's in? And like, I mean, I don't typically stream for like super long stretches of time. I stream for about like 3 hours at a time. And
Hmm.
like and then I get tired and I go and sleep. But like
I
when we
get
did Left 4
sleepy.
Dead 2, it was we like apropos of nothing. I went it was like a 10, 11 hour stream just because I was like, I just want to carry on. I just want to carry on playing. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. Like this is too good. This is too good to pass up. I'm gonna carry on playing forever. Like and that is what you will find with Left 4 Dead 2. It is so addictive. And like even if you've never played it before, like literally if you play that game for 5 minutes, you'll get it. You will get it instantly. It is such an easy game to pick up and play. It's a joy.
Maybe I'll make that another channel point thing. Playing with left for probably Oliver is what I'll call the channel point thing. It's just the nostalgia on the rocks, Left for Dead definitive playthrough. So I've already got a Saturday. I got Bloodborne's already. Bloodborne is gonna take up I don't even know how long. Depends on how many times I die, and that's gonna be a whole experience. But yeah, running through that for the first time with you, Left 4 Dead 2, I think would be in it, especially if each we'll say 90 minutes a level, just because shenanigans and all that stuff. So like you're talking, and if you're
Absolutely.
saying there's like 12, you
Yeah,
break
so
that up.
so
You
yeah,
break it
like
up.
it's
I mean, that's you. We get through about four an episode. That's 6 hours. Like we can make that work. We can make that work. All right, but we that is
absolutely.
that is future us possible things to goof with. Dude, I God, can't wait for you to just get mad at me. I can't wait. You're just gonna be like, Paul, what are you? Why? Why would you go that way? I don't know. Something's on my head.
That would
Something's
be
on
a
my
joke. I
head.
can't wait.
Okay. So another game that is coming out that I'm interested to see, but I'm not really gonna be I'm not a huge fan of the series, or at least not anymore,
Right.
typically. Resident Evil Village, which has
Before we start talking
yes.
Resident Evil, can we take a 2 minute quickly?
Yeah, yeah, by all means, go for it. 2 minutes.
Cool.
On the clock. Go.
I'll be back very quickly.
Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I mean for you guys it would have been like him saying 1 second and then you're right back. So hey, how we doing? All right, so what were we talking? Oh, Resident Evil 7, or no, not 7. Seven's already happened, I think. Yeah, Resident Evil Village. That's what it was. Do you? I'm saying this just because I know there are people that are chomping at the bit for this game, mostly because of Tall Vampire Lady. Yeah, she dominated it. No pun intended. Dominated the internet there for like a solid 2 weeks, if not still.
I I like Resident Evil a lot. I'm not like a massive I've never been massively into the games. I've been playing them recently. I've recently played the first like the original Resident Evil, like the remake they did for
Mhm.
GameCube, which came to like PS3 and PS4 like a couple years ago. Loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. I loved Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3 remake.
Mhm.
That's sort of where my Resident Evil fandom stops. I never really touched any of the other ones. I played a little bit of 7. I played a little bit of 7, and the only reason I only played a little bit of 7 is because I played a little bit of 7 in VR,
Oh
and
fuck.
I got about I did it for about 40 minutes. Like the first 20 minutes of that game is just set up so it's not scary for the first 20 minutes. And then when it gets scary in VR, it's horrible. It's a nightmare game. Like, it is a game that I hope to never see ever again in my life, ever, and also cannot wait to play properly and play through it like the whole way through. It was horrible. Like, and so for that reason, I am looking forward to 8, but I won't pick it up day one because I want to play through all of them. I want to get as heavily invested in Resident Evil as a lot of the internet is. And
Mhm.
Village looks great. Village looks really good. Like um the graphics to it are incredible. The story seems really fun. Tall Vampire Lady is, she's fucking awesome. Like, it looks great. It looks so much fun, but I will probably not pick that game up for a couple of years until I've actually kind of got to where it is in the story, sort of thing. Like,
Now,
because
I
I sorry,
no.
I was just saying I like what I've played, but I want to play more before I get to it, sort of thing. Like,
Okay.
I won't play those games out of order.
Now, so you say that, but if I'm not mistaken, 7 was kind of like a relaunch or a reboot, if you will,
Yeah, from
because
what I understand.
Resident Evil 4, which was and is my favorite, just because it was Leon, it was with the new mechanics. They got away from the tank controls. You could actually like aim. It was like aiming over the shoulder was a thing, and it was just like they reinvented the game a bit. Some people didn't like it because they kind of got away from like the T virus, and it turned into Las Plagas, if I'm saying that correctly. But it was like it got into this whole other realm of like what the hell is going on. But it was still fun. It was still cool. You still had these real big moments. Then you had Resident Evil 5, which was essentially an action game. Like, it was like the horror elements of those games was just, it kind of started to lose it. Like, at one point, you're Chris Redfield. You're just like this just mountain of a man, and you're literally like punching a boulder to like fall on, I think it's Wesker, to finally kill him, like in a volcano. I actually think that's a plot point. Like, I don't think I made any of that up. And so, and then you have that, and then 6 happened, and 6 was such a weird hodgepodge because you had everything that is in that game should make you want to love that game. You have Chris Redfield. You have Ada Wong, who was like this, she was in RE2, she was in 2, she was in 4. Like, she's kind of like not Leon's love interest, but this kind of like Catwoman-esque character to Leon's Batman, if that makes sense. And so she's in the game. You have you have Chris, you have Leon, you have her, you have I don't think it's Claire, but it might be Claire. I don't think Claire makes a return in that game. But you have Sherry, Sherry, the little girl from Resident Evil 2, the little blonde girl.
Yeah, Sherry.
Sherry. She's in the game. Like, she is an adult and in the game. And then you have like Wesker's son, I think, who is like teamed up with her. It's weird. It's weird because they break it up and like each character has like their own different, like each team, because they're like broken up into teams of 2. So it's like 3 stories that kind of like interweave and cross over from time to time. And so you have all this stuff happening, and it was cool concept, just wasn't really executed well. Just because of like because Wesker's kid, Wesker Jr., I'll just call him, does like kung fu. Like, he doesn't like he'll just like bah! And he'll just like kick the crap out of it, and it's like just like this, not even like a zombie, it's just like a dude. And then like he does that to a bunch of guys, and then like the zombies start pouring in, and then so you start fighting all those guys. But it's a weird, it's weird, but honestly at the same time I was like, I don't remember that game being that bad, or at least I don't remember not liking that game for as much shit as that game gets. And then Resident Evil 7 comes out, and 7 is just a completely, it's PT. They were like, oh,
Mhm.
people loved PT. Let's do that, but slap Resident Evil over the top of it. And that's kind of what it felt like. You know, your first person. It's it's tighter corridors. You no longer have like you have guns, but you don't have like a rocket launcher or like all this other crazy shit. And it's just like all this stuff, and then it's like they just kind of completely flip what those games are. Very similar to when you go from Resident Evil 3 to Resident Evil 4. They change it. Sure, it's still Resident Evil, but it's not the same anymore. Made it a hell of a lot. They left the action genre behind. They were like, all right, y'all don't want action anymore. We're gonna go just horror with this. Have fun. And just based on your experience with the PSVR, hard pass. Not just no, but hell no. Even if I had a VR, hell no. I don't know what goal I would need to put in the like a billion channel points, a billion with a B. That is how many it would take for me to play that shit in VR. Just no, thank you.
See, I've said it on my channel before that like because like I've told the story of me playing like Resident Evil in VR, and like my guys were like very much like, oh, we want to see you play Resident Evil in VR. Can you stream Resident Evil in VR? And I was like, yeah, I'll gladly stream Resident Evil in VR if we hit 5,000 subs. Like you hit 5,000 subs, I will play Resident Evil in VR. Like, but until that day, until that no, that stays as far away from me as possible. Like, but
I have
yeah,
I
just
have a
it's horrible.
question about
Mhm.
the about channel points. Do you still have a channel point that just says FNHPaul, or is that gone? Because that was like
It's
a
not active at the
million.
moment, but
It's still
it can
sitting
make a
there.
return.
Because I
Make
remember
a
you
return.
had that. Because I had, you know, your probably Oliver thing, but it was yeah. You just like it was like a million channel points or some shit. It was like I'm gonna ruin this man's career, and it's like what?
I like so I will happily reveal what that was going to be. Like I was working on a little GIF that was just going to be a single balloon that said FNHPaul sucks, and it was just going to come up on the screen. But that was going to be a million channel points, and like I wasn't ever going to lower it for anyone. And then I realized like, oh no, this will take people a good 2 years to like save up. So
Yeah, because it's like what about 2,000 channel point? Like you like a you get like X amount of channel points an hour or some shit. Even if you made that
mhm.
like 100,000, like I would have laughed my ass off if I just come in there one day and it's just because here's the thing though, I don't want the balloon to come like up. I want it to just fall
Just
down
come
and just
down.
I want it to fall like a balloon that was like up in the ceiling rafters and it was supposed to like drop and like, oh my gosh, but it just like floats down and then just like but it's like saggy and wrinkly and it just kind of like falls on the bottom of the screen and just sits there and then just pops and then just goes away like yeah.
Oh shit! Now I need to bring that back. That's it's coming
Now
back. It's coming back.
now it's coming back, now I need this, like we're gonna
It's
make it.
coming back, and it's gonna cost 1 channel point.
Oh,
Like,
that was I remember you saying that joke. It was like, oh, trust me, when I get this sorted, this is gonna be like 10 people are just gonna spam this. It's just gonna fill the screen. These oh god. Okay. All right. Back on topic. Back on topic. So
yeah, like
remind me. Oh,
hmm.
sorry. Do you have more on Resident Evil?
No. I was gonna say like I was literally about to say like I don't have too much to say about Village. Like, it looks cool. I'm excited for it. Like, I hope that game is as good as people are hoping it to be. But
Yep.
I've not. It is for me, but I won't get around to it for a long old time.
Yep. So just because I'm just kind of bouncing around here, I'm just kind of scrolling up and down. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD.
Mm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, or not even correct me if I'm wrong. Are you a Legend of Zelda fan?
I think it would be unfair to call myself a fan of Zelda. Like, it's another game that sort of has passed me by like a lot. Like, I loved Ocarina of Time, completed it, adored it. That was my first Zelda. Since then, I never played Majora's Mask. Um, I never finished Wind Waker. I never finished Twilight Princess. I never played Skyward Sword, and I don't like Breath of the Wild. So it's kind of like I don't have. I would consider myself a fan of Zelda. I'm excited for Zelda games, but I it would be unfair to call myself a fan when there are people who live and die by those games. Like,
I was gonna say, how do
um,
you? Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is the best game that Nintendo's ever made. I thought you were.
I
It's
mean,
like
it's
it's
the
like
best 7 out of 10 game ever made. Like,
it is the best game. I can't even fucking finish this. The amount of people that either love that game to death and will die on the hill fighting for it, and the people who are like, "It's a good game. It's just not a good Zelda game. It's not Zelda. It's just an open world game. They just put Zelda over the top so they could sell more copies. If you take Zelda away from it, this game is a 4 out of 10. Not even worth playing." Like, all right, let's dial it down, internet guy. I don't know what voice that was that I just used, but like, but yeah,
yeah,
I'm enjoying jumping back into that game because that's like what I'm playing right now is the RPG, and that
Mhm,
is I do enjoy that game, but at the same time I don't have the love for the Zelda lore. So like
mhm,
I'm running through there and you have the somebody's gonna correct me or someone's just gonna be real upset with me the fact that I can never remember their names, but you have like the Amazons in that game, which are like the
mm.
like Ganondorf's race.
The Garuda, I want to say.
See, that's what I think they're called. However, I just call them the Amazons because that's what they are. They have a village. It's out in the desert. You're not allowed to go into it if you're a dude. It's just that's what happens. So I'm just like, yeah, you have like the Amazons are over there, and then you got the fish people, and then the bird people, and then you have like the dudes that
Mhm.
are up in the mountains, and then you have the Megazords that are going around, and you have like the Megazord, you have the camel Megazord and the bird Megazord, and this and like people are just like they're divine beast. That's not what they're called. And so it's just like I don't have that love for the lore. I don't have. I'm sure I'd say the same shit if somebody goes into Mass Effect. It's like, oh yeah, you got the salamander people, you got the other big lizard people, you got the chicken people, and I'm like, oh god, they're called
Oh yeah,
Turians.
you're gonna
There's
hate me.
Solarians,
You're
Krogans, and
gonna
Turians.
hate me
Just
come
learn
May.
their names. They're not that hard. It's like, all right, you couldn't name one race in Zelda, and you expect people to get every single alien race in Mass Effect? Fuck off. So that's why I don't get too upset when people fuck it up. It's when they say like, "Oh, well, I don't." They look stupid. I'm like, all right. Well, first off, the Turians don't look stupid. All right, they're a crazy ass design. I get it, but just be like, oh, they're stupid. Why are their legs like that? Because they're a fucking alien. They're not supposed to look normal. You're not supposed to look at them and be like, oh yeah, that's a normal looking thing. Like, no, that's a weird fucking looking thing. That's why it's there. Oh man.
I just want to call out, like, yeah, like, Kitten Babe in the chat has totally nailed it. You have an appreciation for it, but not an active fan. That is what I
Yes.
am for Zelda. Like, I
Perfect.
appreciate Zelda. Like, I love the style of those games. I love the idea of them. I just haven't played many of them, and
Okay.
the ones I have played, I either really, really love, or just I like. For me, Breath of the Wild, like, it's not even like I have tried to play that game, and like literally, if I unfortunately I don't have it to hand right now, but like on my Switch, like where you can see how long you've played games, like I've played Breath of the Wild for like 70 hours, like over
I
like
mean, that's
the
a good chunk of time. Like,
yeah, I've tried so hard to love that game, and I just think it's fine. I don't know what game everyone else is playing to say that it's one of the greatest games of all time, because I play it and I'm like, yeah, this is good.
this is okay.
It's good. I I don't dislike playing it. I
Okay.
just don't care. Like, I just wish I cared more about that game. Like, but
No, like I
yeah,
said, it's fine, man. Trust me, I'm in the same boat. All right, so
mm,
we're gonna do a thing here because I know you got a hard out time. So
mhm,
we're gonna do a rapid fire. We're gonna say
mhm.
yay, nay, or meh, or like
Okay.
maybe. So yay, nay, or maybe on these games. These are games that either like gonna be coming out later this month or like yeah, just later this month or just later on this year. Monster
Mhm.
Hunter Rise for the Switch.
I've never played any of the Monster Hunters. Like I know people who live and die by those games. Like I'm super hyped for the people who are super hyped for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's not my kind of game.
Yeah, that's the thing. I played World, enjoyed it for what I could, not fucking with it. Nay for me. We have okay, so we already talked about that one. Let me just scroll through. Wait, wasn't it Pokemon Snap? That's a nay for me.
Again, I've never been a Pokemon guy. Like we were talking like just before we started recording, and like we were talking about Pokemon briefly. The last Pokemon game I played was Pokemon Gold.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've got into a Pokemon game. I like Pokemon Snap looks cool. Like, but I'll never play it. Like,
Yep.
but yeah, again, it looks cool. One that I did want to touch on just quickly. One of the ones that I did want to mention, like, if you are going to mention it during this rapid fire, but It Takes Two. I cannot wait for It Takes Two. It Takes Two looks like an absolute.
What the
joy.
hell is It Takes Two?
It Takes Two is a game by I can't remember the name of the studio now, but it's the studio who made A Way Out, like the Prison Break game.
Yeah.
And they also did Brothers as well. I don't know if you ever played that, which was like it was a single player game that was cooperative. You were controlling two different characters.
Yeah,
Hazelight,
I
Beard and the Hair,
remember it.
Hazelight, yes. Thank you, Beard and the Hair in the chat. Like, but yeah, Hazelight Studios. It Takes Two, and this is a game that like if you're not familiar with it, go and look at a trailer for this game because this game looks like such a joy, and I'm going to play through all of that game with Cecily, like my fiance. I fully recommend you and the FNH wife do the same because it looks like so much fun.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna say me and the FNH wife sitting down playing a game. That's typically involves like me and her getting upset with each other because it's like you're doing it wrong, or like one of us beating the other person and then being like, all right, well, I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah,
you can be.
me and Cecily have a list of games that we are banned from playing, and but this looks like one that it's a game that very much apparently
do most of them show up as Mario?
We've recently played Mario together, and it wasn't the worst thing we've ever done. But Overcooked. If we ever try and play Overcooked, we are literally banned from playing Overcooked because we've said if we play Overcooked ever again, we will break up. We will not be a couple anymore if we ever try and play Overcooked.
Love it.
It's, yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So, do you have anything else to say about It Takes Two?
No, just go and check it out. It's coming out. I think it's coming out at the end of this month. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, March 26th for PS5. Everything but Switch.
The way they've kind of like gone with the marketing is that it's a game that you don't need to know how to play video games to play and enjoy. So it's a game that
Okay.
me being the brilliant pro gamer that I am and
I was gonna say Robert Highwind is still licking his wounds from that Tetris beatdown a month or two ago.
But no, I can't check out that game. That's a game that I think is going to be really, really good. But yeah, more quick hits.
Okay, more quick hits. Let's go. So I'm seeing something in here. It says, "Is Final Fantasy VII?" It says remake intergrade. It's getting an update, so it's going up to the PS5 and then also getting like a little DLC thing, but it's only going to be for the PS5.
That's great. I can't wait for the DLC.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII was one of my favorite games of all time. It's the first Final Fantasy game I ever played, and those games have been with me ever since.
Same here.
I cannot wait for this remake. It's bringing in a character who was an optional character in the original, and so the fact that they're making her such a big deal, I can't wait for it. Can't wait.
Oh, that was the lady with the oversized throwy doodah, right?
Yes.
I saw. All I literally have seen is some chick jump back. She jumps on a dude's sword. He cannonball specials her or fastball specials her up, and then she just has a big 4-spoked wagon wheel thing. It just is about to bring it down on a robot. That's
can't wait for
it. Can't wait. All right. Let's see here. I'm just gonna go through the ones that are to be announced on here, which don't have dates, but at the same time, some of these I'm sure I'm gonna jump into. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh gosh. Oh no, that's an iOS game. I was like, wait, there's another Crash Bandicoot game? I thought one already came out. Did you end up jumping into that? I can't remember. Crash Bandicoot 4.
Um, I love the Insane trilogy. I absolutely adored. I platinumed all three of those games, and my thumbs were bleeding at the end of it. Crash 4, I didn't really like Crash 4. I'm looking forward to because it's got the PS5 update, I think, coming next week. I'm looking forward to I'm gonna try it again, but I didn't get on with it the first time around.
Fair enough. Oh, the new Ratchet and Clank. Yay, nay, or
Very excited for that. That looks really
big
cool.
yeah.
That looks
Okay,
really cool.
that's a big yay.
I was never a Ratchet and Clank guy. Like, never played like any of the old ones, but I played the sort of remake / reboot on PS4. I loved that game. That game was so much fun, and I can't wait for this new one. It looks really cool. It looks
You know
like
what?
it's doing something interesting.
You get Jack and Daxter up in there, I'll buy PS5. I'm a Jack and Daxter guy. I love that. I love that game. I love two. I played two and both of them after the fact. Even the Jack and Daxter like racing game. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is that Jack X?
Yeah, some shit like that. Like,
yeah.
Diablo 2 Resurrected. They're remastering Diablo 2 for PC. And I'm not gonna lie,
similar.
I'm tempted. I'm very tempted.
That's another one that's in the same line as Monster Hunter for me. I've never played a Diablo game, and like I'm hyped for people who are hyped for it, because people who like Diablo fucking adore Diablo, but I've never played one. Like I don't really know what those games are. Like
Yeah, it is it's fucking, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a loot game. You run around, you punch shit and or throw spells at it, and you win. And you try not to die over and over again. That's the game. That's all I got. That's all I got. Let's see here. Moving down. Ooh, oh shit! I didn't know Fall Guys is coming to Xbox. I knew it was coming to Switch. I didn't think it was coming to Xbox. Fuck yeah! Send it. Yeah. So many crowns now. Like 2. Let's see here. So it's saying God of War. It's saying God of War 2021 is coming to PS5.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that means Ragnarok or if that means like just God of War is getting a PS5 upgrade.
No, it's God of War's already had the PS5 upgrade, and it's so good in 60 FPS. That game is insane. They like, because they never officially named it Ragnarok. Just everyone went, "Oh, we're calling this Ragnarok." Then yeah. Cool, Ragnarok.
Good. Good.
I don't think that's coming this year. Like, that game is going to get pushed. Like, we've not seen a single second of it. We've just seen a logo. Like, that game hasn't even got a name. If anyone thinks that game's coming out this year and it hasn't even got a name, like, nah, that's next year. That's coming next year.
If they push that, I have zero issue. Issue. That is a game that I want to be fucking done. I don't want it like almost done, just needs a day one patch. Fuck you. I want it done. This is like the opposite of Cyberpunk, where it's like, give me it now. No, you take your time. If you gotta hit me up like, hey, we're pushing it a month. Hey, we're pushing it a month. Hey, we're pushing it a month. Cool story. Don't care. Just push that shit to the end. Like, push it to like, let's see, because the other one would have came out 2018, if I'm not mistaken. 2018 was God of War.
Yes, 2018.
Yeah, so if it gets pushed to 22, like, I ain't mad. That's 4 years. I ain't mad. Now, does that mean, I was gonna say, I ain't mad at that one. Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights.
They need to rename Gotham Knights as Nightwing, because I just want to play as Nightwing. I cannot wait to play as Nightwing. Everyone else, I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
But Nightwing. I want to be Nightwing.
I'm fucking I am that like fucking edgelord, like fucking Red Hood. It's Batman with guns. Pop, 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 pop. Like I have almost got a Red Hood tattoo like 3 times. Like I have come so close to getting a Red Hood tattoo, like a Red Hood and Deadpool tattoo. Like I have the Arkham Knight Red Hood statue. Like I would run and go get it, but we ain't got the time for that. But Gotham Knights,
So what I hear, Paul,
all about it.
all I'm hearing right now is that we're playing Gotham Knights together, yeah?
Fucking bet. Fucking bet. Dude, if there is any sort of like I don't know what like obviously it's gonna be coming out on every fucking thing. But like if there's crossplay, fucking bet money. If it's not crossplay, I'm gonna need to like do some shit and like fucking sell a kidney to get a PlayStation 5 or some shit because like god damn it. Because that's what you play on, right? PS5?
Yeah, but like I'm looking I'm gonna get a Series X as soon as the stock is more
Yeah.
available. I'm not gonna knock myself out trying to get an Xbox Series X, but when they're like readily available, I'll
Yeah.
pick one up.
I'll probably end up because that's the thing. I've got a PS4, but it's like a kind of about earlier version of the PS4. It's not a Pro. Oh, sorry about that. So I'm like, I'm not exactly opposed to upgrading. It's more of how do I buy this without my wife noticing right away? So we have Gotham Knights. Big yay for me. Big yay for you. Even though you only want to play as Dick Grayson, which I completely understand.
Yeah,
Nightwing's dope. Don't get me wrong. He was dope. I loved his run as Batman when he was Batman and Damian was Robin. I loved that run. It was very cool because it was like this whole like Damian learning to not be such a shithead from someone other than his dad. Great. Loved it. If you guys haven't read it, go back and read it.
Oh shit. I know we're sort of running out of time now, but how have we never talked about comic books? Like, oh shit, like that we need to talk about comic books.
That's a whole other episode. That still falls into nostalgia. That still falls. That's the beautiful thing about Nostalgia on the Rock Sports fans is that we're typically, video games, but it's just nostalgia. Whether it's old comics, old movies, whatever. I'll talk about any goddamn thing under the sun. You put a fucking drink in my hand and I'll be your best friend. All right. Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm not buying it again. No, I refuse.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That's it. That's all I gotta say on that one. Fuck you. All right, Rockstar? Fuck off. I'm not buying it again. I bought on 360. I bought on the Xbox One. I am not buying on the Series S and X. No. Christ. GTA is becoming Skyrim. No, it's worse than Skyrim. Because Skyrim stopped. Skyrim's like, all right, we're not putting out any more shit. Now they have Elder Scrolls. But it's like, GTA 5 came out on the 360 and PS3, ladies and gentlemen. Let us not forget, it came out like a decade ago. Like, fuck off. Go away.
See, I always equate to like GTA 5 that came out when me and my fiance Cecily, when we were first going out, like we had only been together around about like 4 or 5 months when GTA 5 came out, and like since then we have lived in 4 different houses. Like that game has come out too much. Like, but I'll probably buy it again because I just love that game.
I ain't doing it. Halo Infinite. Now, for me, that's a game. Like, I'm going to get that. I love Halo. I love those series. The more recent games have kind of been a little hit or miss. I honestly wish they had stopped with Master Chief. I wish we had gotten, like, a new Spartan, which they teased at Halo 4 because they had, like, Spartan Assault. Or not Spartan Assault. What was it called? I think it was some other thing where you were your own, like, you created your own Spartan. And, like, you and your fire team would then go and do missions. And like they had a whole big story which then tied into 5, like how you got from 4 to 5. And it was awesome. And I loved it. And I was like, dope, let's fucking go. And then it was like, Halo 5. Now you have Master Chief and his old squad versus this new guy. And you remember Buck from ODST? He's a Spartan now. Don't ask why. There's a book. Which actually is a pretty solid book. But anyway, it's just like they get in all this shit. And I'm like, oh, God. But now we have Halo Infinite, and I'm like, send it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to have fun with it.
with me, like, so, like, I think I said earlier, like, I've never played a Halo. Like, that was another game franchise that totally passed me by. Like, I remember when the Halo Infinite trailer came out last year, the trailer that made them delay it for a year. I watched that trailer and I went, "Oh, this looks awesome. I really want to play this game." And then they went, "Oh yeah, we're delaying it for a year because of the reactions to the trailer." And I was like, "I loved it. I want to play that now. Like, that game looks really fun. Like, that game looked good. Like,
It
yeah, like,
was, yeah. Some people didn't like, because like obviously just like the way the graphics looked, they were like, oh, because they stopped. They weren't going for a super realistic design, which made sense. I was
mhm,
like, yeah, you don't need it to be super. Like, I would rather it be a bit more colorful than just like dark and dreary. Like, fuck off, right? We don't just no. But they want to upgrade it, so by all means, live your life. I'd rather it take longer and it come out and be good than put it
mhm,
out and it suck ass. That's just
mhm.
me. Pardon my French.
I hope that game is brilliant. I like. I mean, I've always been like, I'm a bit of a PlayStation fanboy sort of thing, but I really, really hope that game comes out and gives like Xbox the boost it needs, because
I hope so.
I I really hope that game is brilliant. It looked like that game can be brilliant, and I really hope it
Hmm.
hits. Really hope.
You and me both, my man. You and me both. Also, so I glossed over it, but the new Pokemon game, I'm gonna be picking it up. You're probably on a nay, based on just your reaction to
Yeah,
it.
probably.
We also
Yeah,
have
looks cool.
um Horizon Forbidden West.
Yes,
If this game comes out this year,
very
I am
excited.
100% picking that up. I
Mhm,
loved the first one. Like that, like
mhm.
friggin' I've got Aloy. She's right, my head's blocking it. She's right there. You
Yeah,
can't see it, chat. She's right there. Right there. There's Aloy, and there's a watcher down there next to a licker, aka the Resident Evil guy who climbs on the ceiling like a bastard. Watcher right there, Aloy right there, and then Atreus right above it. You can tell I enjoy Sony products. But yeah, it was cool just with like the like her like I just enjoyed the hell out of that game and like the world they build and all this kind of crazy shit.
yeah. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. I can't wait for this new one. Like, if it Horizon Zero Dawn for me really reminded me of the first Assassin's Creed game, in that the idea of it was fantastic and brilliant, and it was really, really cool. But there was loads of stuff in that game that was like, oh, if this was a little bit better, it would be perfect. And
There's
I
a
feel like
mm,
if they fix all the kind of issues that, I'd say all the issues, I think Horizon Zero Dawn for me was a brilliant game. I loved every second with that game. But if they kind of fine tune that game, Forbidden West could be one of the best games of this generation. Like,
yep.
that game has all the potential to be perfect.
Oh yeah.
Like, I can't wait.
There's
I can't wait.
there were I agree with you. There are a few things that could be tightened up. And as long as they don't do what Assassin's Creed does, which is to just throw up on the map and give you 1,000 goddamn things to do for no
Oh,
other
I mean, in
reason than to do a
I
thousand
I
fun
only mean
things.
from the jump from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed
Oh yeah,
2, where
no,
Assassin's
no,
Creed
I get
2
what
just
you were saying. That
literally
like,
just tightened every bolt
yeah, yeah,
in that
no, I'm
game.
I'm getting you. I'm talking of not even so much as that. I guess more Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's map was a fucking shit show, and it like I haven't even gone back and finished that game. It was like it's just like looking at that map. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at here. And there are some games where it's just like there's just a vomit of icons that are just collectibles and like points of interest and all that shit. The other one was like in Horizon. Like I'm obviously I haven't played in a little while, so there's some things are a bit foggier than I probably remember. But like figuring out a way to get onto like the Striders, I think they were called, the Brontosaurus robot,
Mm, mm.
and like just stabbing that thing in the head and then doing all the stuff was cool. I enjoyed that. It kind of gave it a little bit more. And then like having to deal with like the jabronis running around trying to fight you and then also like the robots just running around trying to fuck you up was kind of cool. And I enjoyed that stuff. And they had like these little Easter eggs and all these little bits and pieces. Like, hey, if you find all these things, you then get like a super dope armor, like they do in Assassin's Creed 4, which I loved. It's like, all right, cool. You're giving me a reason. I'm not just collecting these to get like a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Collect all the fucking seeds, you get golden poop. Fuck you. No, fuck off. All right? I found that out in chat the other day and I was like, fuck you. But regardless, if it gives you something that is actually super useful and it's not just going to be like, oh, neat, put it in the backpack, never use it, then I'm down for it. Then I'm down for that collectible thing. As long as it's not some tedious nonsense. You got to make, like, I want to, like, you have to make me want to get the thing more than just to complete it. In my mind. So if they can pull that off, Horizon Zero Dawn, I will probably get a PS5 for that game. I probably will not, like, I've debated on playing like Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS4. Like I've kicked it around a few times. I just never got actually around to playing it. But that's the thing. I've seen it and I'm like, I kind of just want to wait. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden West, pardon my language. That is a game I'd probably upgrade for. I bet, yeah, I don't want to play this on PS4. I want to play this with as much amazing color and high definition that they put into this game. I want to see every goddamn detail of Aloy as he yelled it from the mountaintop. Yeah, sorry.
She is the coolest. She is the coolest like character that Sony have come up with in a long time. I think. Like
the thing is, how did you play that game? Because I totally forgot. Like there's like you can. I don't remember. Do those choices actually fuck with shit? No, like if you're being compassionate or like aggro or doing other things. Like I can't remember.
No, I think as far as I remember, the story all panned out exactly the same. It was one of those games with sort of like fake choices, sort of thing. Like, and not in a bad way. Like I just think it was one of those games that like it didn't. Your choices didn't have a say in the world, but also I didn't really want it to have a say in the world. I like it when games tell me a story. Tell me your story, like, you know.
Yeah, it's just one of those. I couldn't remember if it was like, oh, because I went like compassionate most of the time through there because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a nice person. But it was always, but it's like I wasn't sure if it would change like the story or if I would just get a different dialogue option. And sometimes that's all you get is like, oh, you get a different dialogue option versus like, oh, because this guy won't fucking talk to you, he's not gonna show up at the ambush. So like now it's gonna be harder. Or like, oh, you were cool to that guy, that dude's now gonna show up. That dude is gonna bring his fucking buddies. So now you have like 10 more people to show up and bully these guys with. I wasn't sure if it was like some shit like that. But that's my digress. Like, yeah, Horizon's a yes. It's a 100% yes for me personally. Scrolling through. We already talked about Pokemon. Yep. Resident Evil Village. We already talked about. Not actually seen a whole lot less. So it's a whole lot more that it's like jumping out at me just scrolling through.
The last one I wanted to touch on this list was, and this is a game. It's coming out. It's coming out next month, and I am so excited for it. Is the new Oddworld game, like Soulstorm, which is like a sequel to Abe's Exodus, which I don't know if so yesterday I got an excellent chance to appear on the Nerdic Gods podcast with Sims Gaming Time and a couple of other folks and we were talking about Oddworld Soulstorm, and me and Steve Sims, like, to, you know, fine English country gentlemen, were very much like, I can't wait for this game. Oddworld was the jam when we were kids. And Danny and Connor, who were also on that podcast, two American guys, were like, I never played Oddworld. It wasn't a thing over in America, but I cannot
right over my head.
Wait. Yeah, for some reason it seems like it was a game that like in the 90s was huge in the UK and just didn't do anything in America, but like this was a game that like I used to play Oddworld Souls. Oddworld Souls. I used to play Oddworld Abe's Odyssey with my dad. Like he loved that game. Like when I was like 8 or 9, and like on a Friday night he would play it, and he would let me stay up till like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning just to help him figure out the puzzles in that game. So I can't wait for that game to come out, because the first thing I do once that game comes out, and once like kind of COVID things are a little bit in a better position, I'm unplugging the PlayStation. I'm taking it down to my mum and dad's, and me and my dad are gonna play that all night long. I can't wait.
You fucking love to hear it. You fucking love to
I
hear it.
can't wait.
All right,
Can't
so
wait.
I think on that heartfelt note, I think we're gonna call it here. I think we're gonna call it here. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so very much for being with us right here during the Nostalgia on the Rocks. I am your friendly neighborhood Paul. That is probably Oliver. You can find me over on twitch.tv/FNHPaul or twitter.com/FNH_Paul. And you can find him over on, I gotta point the correct direction. Go for it.
Twitch.tv/ProbablyOliver or Twitter.com/probably_Oliver, because both me and Paul are dum dums.
Oh, just fucking high five. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for your time. Remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we will catch you guys next time. So until then, have a good one. Stay safe. Thank you for your time.